Winx fans believe that the downfall of the franchise began with the Nickelodeon era. It did not. Season 4 was the catalyst that began the downfall, and the reasons for it are not as simple as labeling the season as bad. It was not. It is a rather enjoyable season with many issues that you notice with each rewatch. Issues that will later get worse in the rest of the series. In this video, I'll break down why Season 4 was the actual beginning of the end for the, quote, golden era of Winx. Season 4 was very eventful. Being the successor of the show's best season and first film, it had tough shoes to fill. I genuinely loved this season and still do, but even when watching it as a kid, I definitely felt something about it was off. As I got older, I always shared my thoughts with other fans about Season 4 having the issues that would be found in the later seasons of the show. I was genuinely surprised when I recently got back into the Winx fandom, checking YouTube videos like this one, Reddit posts, and people agreeing with what I had thought about the season for years. Because trust me, for the longest I felt like I was alone on this. I don't believe that had this been the last season of the show, I don't think many fans would feel the same way as me. Winx's 4th season is filled with inconsistent writing and retcons, all of which starts right off the bat. In the very first episode, Farragonda mentions that there's a level, quote, above Enchantix.
There's a level above Enchantix called Believix.
In the season prior, it was established that Enchantix was the final fairy form and the highest transformation a fairy could strive for.
This year, your goal is to achieve final transformation.
Don't get me wrong, Believix has grown on me over the years, but this just felt odd. The transformation that was presumed to be almighty and powerful just a season ago suddenly became nerfed and useless. And all of that just in the first episode. This is an issue that conveniently shows up in the show's later and much worse seasons. And all of this because I believe this was the time Rainbow realized they had struck gold with giving the Winx various transformations in the same season, just to sell more toys and dolls. But the difference is, at least in this season, we could argue that it was done sorta well. Giving the Winx additional forms of Believix, Sophix and Lovix was actually okay, because they were used for specific missions. But I was never a fan of the extra wings and the random powers the Winx used to make the people, quote, believe in fairies. Speaking of believing in fairies, the way the Winx earned Believix was questionable to me. As far as I recall, the form is earned when people believe in fairies and magic. But why did they earn it when Roxy, aka the last fairy on Earth, believed in magic? Knowing she is a magical being shouldn't have that been obstacle. Of course, this issue was present in the previous season, with Tecna and Bloom earning their Enchantix, but that's a whole different story. But at least something had to be done for the girls to earn the transformation. It wasn't just given to them. In the next seasons, the Winx would get random new transformations just for the sake of it. The transformations were given to them in much more questionable ways, and all of this because they decided to age down the Winx and make the show more appealing for kids. And in my opinion, Season 4 was the starting point to this. Another point that I'd like to include was, why on earth was Bloom the one who had to fight Diana and Nebula? I think this is a very popular take on how both instances could have had one of the other Winx girls in action. Sure, Bloom was the center of the other conflicts in the seasons prior, but it was genuinely unbearable here. At least back then it made some kind of sense, because her world was lost and the villains personally affected her. But her whole domino arc was resolved in the movie, and I think this could have been a great moment to have some of the other girls shine in those instances, because the seeds were already planted right there. This would only get worse with the next seasons, of course, as Bloom was the one to defeat the, quote, big bads of Season 5 and 6, when it could have been someone else doing so. Sigh. Also, the fairy hunters low-key made no sense. Why did they suddenly start hunting down Bloom, believing she was the last Earth fairy, when there was magical activity in Gardenia in the seasons before? These writings decisions would only get worse as the show goes on. My next point is all of the unnecessary relationship drama that happened this season. My God, even as a kid, this pissed me off so much. The Winx and the Specialists randomly having beef over non-existent issues at the beginning of the season was so annoying. It was so time-wasting, and it's a shame, because that time could have been used to explore other storylines that actually mattered to the plot. Speaking of relationships, let's address the elephant in the room, the most unnecessary death of the franchise, Nabu's. This death made so angry as a kid, and even more as an adult. Lots has been said about the decision to kill off Nabu, with people rightfully so, saying it was insensitive and could also come off a bit racist, because they were the only couple of color in the show. In my opinion, this death was done so poorly. I consider it extremely bad writing. And there, just to shock the audience, considering we saw Bloom literally heal so many people this season and her own love interest 2 seasons prior. Maybe they could have at least explained why she wasn't able to heal him, even though I'm not sure how that would have helped, because she literally healed Sky from dark magic after the Trix's attacks. And what followed was even worse. You feel like they villainized Aisha for wanting revenge. Let's not forget the Winx have wanted revenge in the past. Could this be a sign of character development? Sure. Does it come out as questionable that at the moment the only couple of color was affected they weren't by Aisha's side? In my opinion, yes. And what makes matter worse is that this whole thing gets resolved super quickly, in a matter of an episode and a half. And later Nabu would be mentioned maybe 2 or 3 times most, which is a shame, because this storyline could have been explored much more. I still feel like a lot of you will disagree with my takes in this video. If I have to be honest, Winx is a franchise I have mixed feelings about. On one hand, I have a soft spot for it, considering I loved watching it as a child. I ran fan pages about it with huge followings in my early teen years. But on another, it's a franchise that unfortunately has overstayed its welcome. I haven't watched anything related to Winx since season 7, I believe. I hardly finished season 6 and just gave up on it shortly after. I may have come off as a little negative on season 4 a bit in this video, but I will forever cherish it, because it is still good and enjoyable, although I think it has aged the worst out of the original 4 seasons. But hey, these are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours. Make sure to leave a comment, and I'd appreciate it if you subscribed and liked as well. Let me know if I should discuss Winx more on this channel. I'll be discussing so many shows, both animated and not, so make sure to stay tuned. Thanks for watching. See you next time.